Welcome back to the channel. I'm the Rational Gooner, and this is my reaction and my review following Arsenal's 3-0 victory today in the Premier League against Fulham. Initial reaction following the game, I was delighted that we came off that pitch with a 3-goal deficit, because I've not seen one of those since before January. And overall feeling after it's the best I've felt after an Arsenal game since we beat Aston Villa 4-1 in December. Literally our best performance since then as well. And even in that game against Aston Villa, things were not that comfortable. Things were very uncomfortable, especially at the initial 20 to 30 minute period when our defence looked very open. But in this one, it was comfortable almost from start to finish, really, from the 8th minute when we took the lead. Let's just go through the teams then. A few changes from the side that started in the Metropolitano against Atletico Madrid in the semi-final of the Champions League on Wednesday. So Arteta didn't have as big a pool to pick from. Injury to Martin Odegaard, our captain, forced him to be sidelined. Straight swap for Eberechi Eze, that's great. But in goal, David Raya, then it's a slightly changed back four. Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel all kept their places, but Riccardo Calafiori got the nod ahead of Piero Hincapié, who I believe is rested, because I think he'd actually be quite useful on Tuesday in the second leg. Sorry, my dog has decided to grace me with his presence, and he just gave me a little sigh as he sat next to me. In the midfield then, we've got Bukayo Saka starting his first game for a few months. And Leandro Trossard on the left-hand side as well, which was surprising, because he's been pretty much rank out of form since the clocks went forward. But it's good to see that they've rested Martinelli, because I can see him starting on Tuesday. And then the middle three, which I couldn't have predicted going into this game, because of the amount of times that Arteta has called upon who I would call his favourite and almost his comfort blanket, which is Zubamendi. But he gave Miles Lewis-Skelly the nod in the middle, which meant that with Declan Rice and Eze with him, we had a midfield of basically English players. You know, if you include Saka there, bar out Trossard, we've got an English midfield there, which is really good to see, especially for an Arsenal fan who's had a lot of stick down the years from opposition supporters to saying that Arsenal only play foreign players and we're the first team to field a full 16 squad of all non-English players. So having a look at that team, especially when you consider that Ben White was part of that team as well, we started the game with 5 English players, and our bench was full of English players as well. We had Max Dowman, and we had Noni Madueke on there as well. That's it, pretty much. So 2 of the 7 on the bench, 9 on the bench. I'm just looking through it now. The other player that started up front was Victor Gyökeres. He got the nod after scoring in the week from the penalty spot, and rightly so, it turns out, because on 9 minutes it was Victor Gyökeres who came up with Arsenal's opening goal. But it was all about Bukayo Saka, the returning Saka. So Miles Lewis-Skelly gets the ball after Arsenal take a quick free kick. He brings it over from the middle of the park, plays it to the right. Saka then squares up Robinson for Fulham, and Robinson is put literally on his arse. Saka goes past him. He's then got a free run to the byline, and it's all about then the quality of the cross and the quality of the run to get on the end of that cross. It was all perfect. Into that corridor of uncertainty where the keeper doesn't know whether to stick or twist. The defender he's had his pocket picked by a really good run by Victor Gyökeres diagonally towards that near post, and it's a good finish with his left foot. VAR did have a little check to see if he was offside, but he was level, so excellent. 1-0. We could have been 2-0 up. Another good cross in from the right-hand side, this time by Trossard, and a great header from Calafiori, but he was a yard or two offside. So that was about 2 or 3 minutes after the goal. The first half then was quite comfortable for us. We did, we did trouble Fulham for most of it, and we almost doubled our lead on several occasions. But for some decent goalkeeping from Bernd Leno and some last-ditch defending from Fulham, that didn't happen until we got to the 40th minute, whereby Gyökeres returned the favour and became provider. Ball came out to him wide on the right-hand side, held it up brilliantly. The defender didn't really do enough, in my opinion. Saka then makes a diagonal run past him, checks his run enough for Gyökeres to then find him through the gap between two defenders. Saka then had a free shot at goal pretty much from 12 yards out. I think it was probably about 18 yards, to be fair, from the angle. Got to look at the goalkeeper on this one. It was at his near post. I think Saka may have given him the eyes, but his strike was true, and Leno just wasn't alert to it, and the ball ended up nestling beautifully into the bottom right-hand corner, with Arsenal then doubling their lead. So it looked as if we were going to go in at half-time 2-0 up. Happy days. First time we've been 2-0 up for a long time at the Emirates or anywhere this year in 2026. But then it ended up 3-0 because we had a breakaway on the left-hand side. Eventually found its way to Trossard. Trossard did his usual step-overs and jinks and drop of the shoulder, gave himself a yard, crossed it in left-footed, and at the back post, Gyökeres timed his run again perfectly, and his header looped in, headed back where it came from, and Leno again couldn't keep it out. So 3-0 at half time, and from then on it was cruise control, and the second half was literally a non-event. Raya had one thing to do in regards to stopping Fulham from scoring, and that was one shot that was straight at him from the centre of the goal into the centre of the goal, and he made a decent stop, and that was it. We still had a few chances, but in the end we didn't really get out of second gear in the second half. Didn't need to get out of second gear. It would have been nice to have added to that total to really make that goal difference comfortable and add to our goals scored column, which is the concern right now, because if City win by 2 goals in either of their games in hand, in fact 1-0 and 1-0, and suddenly they're top of the league again on goals scored. I'm just realising what I just said there, and that's not true. We are 4 goals ahead on difference, and goal difference is the first bracket that they look at when you're level on points with another club. It won't go down to a playoff because we lost to Man City, because after it's goals scored and goals conceded, it then goes to the head-to-head between the two sides, and unfortunately City did beat us at the Etihad, so if it goes down to that, it is City's title. So I think more goals is needed, pretty sure. But it's a welcome feel-good victory. It's a welcome comfortable victory, because we have suffered as Arsenal fans over the last 3 or 4 months with football that has invited tension on the terraces, tension at home watching the game, even though the players on the pitch are actually probably quite comfortable and they're actually keeping them at bay. You always know in the back of your mind that it takes one moment of brilliance or one silly error from a defender or a goalkeeper, and suddenly that scoreline is not how it ends up. But no such feelings today. I've not felt comfortable sat watching Arsenal that much in a long time, and thank God, because I need a weekend like that. We all need a break like that at the weekends, and now we can start thinking about, semi-final second legs at the Emirates, and Atletico come into the Emirates to try and get a result against us, and it's mouth-watering. We go before the Bayern Munich and PSG game because they play on Wednesday, so we can then, if we do beat Atletico Madrid, which we are fancied to do, if we do get through to that final, we can then sit and relax and watch another slugfest between those two sides, which I expect will happen, because I don't think that either defences are particularly capable of keeping out the other attackers. So it's a good feeling to have, but we still need to do what we need to do, and that's to win the game against Atletico Madrid. I don't want extra time. I don't want penalties. Nobody wants that, not even Atletico fans. If we're going to go out in 90 minutes. I don't want any of that nonsense afterwards. But if we're going to go through, I don't want to do it through extra time or penalties either. I need, as most football fans, we just need to get through that 90 minutes unscathed, so that the next Premier League game that we have in a week's time is, it's not going to have any repercussions from the Champions League where injuries suddenly hit us and there's a crisis. And mark my words, going to West Ham, which I believe is a 4:30 kickoff on Sunday next week, that is a big game. That is also a game that we were hoping we didn't need to win, because it would be nice to give West Ham the points so that Spurs go down. That's not the case now. We have to win that game, and Spurs will probably be backing us to win it as well, which I hate, by the way. But, we're not going to fall on our sword just to see Spurs get relegated, because that would be detrimental to our our title push. And with 3 games left to go now, we don't want to have any of those types of slip-ups. And West Ham away is going to be very difficult. We need our entire squad available. That's not possible because of the injuries to players like Moreno. So the players we've got at the moment, we need to get through these games unscathed. But we also need to win these games. It's a balancing act. And Arteta, he's had 5 seasons now to try and get this formula right. I believe he's assembled a squad good enough to do it. It's now in their heads, and it's all down to their mentality and how they get through these games. So, in summary, very happy with today. Jovial almost. But again, 3 Premier League games left to go, and we're no closer to knowing who's going to win this title. It's very exciting. One thing I will say, though, is after that victory against Fulham, mathematically, Manchester United cannot catch us now, so second is the lowest position that we can finish. Trust me when I say I know some Manchester United fans that when Carrick took over and they started to win games were texting me saying, I think we've got a chance of winning this title, you guys might slip up. Obviously, I didn't give them the time of day, and these people, should be accountable for their words, but I'm not going to name names. You know who you are, Manchester United fans. They call the Arsenal fan base deluded, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say every single fan base has those deluded fans. It's not just Arsenal fans, it's not just Man United fans, but I did have to have a chuckle when they were starting to believe that they were going to make a title push in February when they were still, 12, 15 points behind us. So, it's nice to know that we can only finish second or first, which is good. And if City start dropping points, hopefully Man United catch them and finish second. But I'd want to see us win the title first, and then have a laugh at what happens below us. Okay, that's enough idiocy from me. Thank you very much for tuning in. Please do join the conversation, leave a comment, like, subscribe, do whatever you want. But thank you very much for listening, and I will be back for the Tuesday night big match, semi-final, second leg Champions League. Take care. Bye-bye.